at harm. I am Supergirl.
Hey guys, just finished watching Supergirl Season 4, Episode 10, Suspicious Minds. Wow, what an episode. Oh my god, this episode, throughout the episode I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. The ending of this episode makes this, it has a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's kind of, but I give it a bit more than that, probably even almost on 9, just for the sheer ending. Maybe more of an 8.5, because the stuff throughout the episode is kind of a bit weird, but, so we start off this episode with kind of, I guess, reminding us still about Supergirl's training and about the Russian Supergirl still in training and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. Hopefully they kind of pick that story back up. Thought I saw an article online saying that that's going to be kind of speeding up very soon. So that'll be cool to play with that. But we don't really dive into that too much. We see that that Supergirl saves kind of some soldiers from a ship on the water type thing, and one of the first thing you see is one of the soldiers get thrown overboard, and Supergirl goes in and saves her, and she pulls her out of the water, and neither of them are wet. Not Supergirl, not even the soldier, covered in kind of in body armor and all kinds of stuff like that, which was kind of weird, because why would a military Navy vessel be in a lake? That was kind of weird that they were there. I mean, maybe they're trying stuff or something like that, but I don't know, it just was kind of weird that they were in a lake and not, in the ocean, because how big, it didn't look like a big enough lake for them to have military, personnel on that lake. But oh well, that's just because it's a minute detail, a little bit too nitpicky, but I just found that weird. We see Colonel Haley tries to stand in Supergirl's way of saving people, and that's something that I've kind of been not liking, how they kind of play with this whole story. I like this whole story with Colonel Haley trying to figure out who Supergirl is and all that stuff, but I need to see Supergirl throw her weight down a bit more, because there's the whole thing like in Man of Steel when the military tries to spy on him with the drone, he just crashes it right in front of him, and he's like, hey, you're not going to do this, I have the power, you may be scared of me, just like Batman was in Batman v Superman, but that doesn't matter. I'm on your side. You take me at my word, end of story, because I have the power to do so. So I think that's kind of they need to do a bit more about that, because Supergirl has spent more than enough time showing the world that she's not here to hurt anyone. She's here to help everyone. So I think when Colonel Haley starts getting in her way, she needs to start taking, throwing her weight around a bit more and being like, so I'm not working for you, and just start putting her foot down and being like, what are you going to do, right? And then, I mean, they did get rid of a lot of the kryptonite, so I think that could be something interesting to playing with that, and just kind of setting things up like that. I think it would be kind of interesting, just throwing her weight around, and then if they try to use kryptonite on her or something like that, which I'm not sure if they have any. I'm not mistaken, Superman had taken it a while back, but she could kind of expose the government trying to take down Supergirl as Carl Danvers. I think that could be really an interesting idea, playing with that. So that was really interesting. So it'd be cool to see that, and I just kind of wish Supergirl should throw her weight around a bit more, put her foot down, and kind of, you want to fight me, you're not going to stand a chance, right? And I think that just kind of throwing that weight around, even just a little bit, just to say that, saying that I have the power to do it, to do something. If I want to pick you up and fly into space, I can. Nothing is stopping me from picking you up and in 3 seconds being out in space and just letting you float or drift in space. It's like that's just kind of not just implying that. I think could be something interesting for Supergirl. As in the comics, she's usually the one who's kind of a little bit more ruthless than Superman, because she doesn't spend the whole time on Earth as much as he did. He spent a lot more time. He's a little bit more connected to the people than she has. She's a little bit more disconnected, at least not so much on this show, but that's just something I would have done there. We see John Jones opening up his private investigator place. That was pretty cool, seeing that. We find out that they're fighting some sort of invisible alien, that was turned into invisible aliens that were turned into trained killers by the army and stuff, and then they turned bad and stuff. So that was kind of okay. There were some points with that where they were all at the DEO and everyone was standing around fighting these stuff, and it was a terrible fight scene because they're fighting these kind of invisible creatures and stuff. Which okay, that's the idea you want to go with, but just the way they were doing it, was just the fight scenes were just kind of terrible in this. There was no sort of sense of, whenever they were fighting in the DEO, there was no sort of sense of kind of fighting as a unit and stuff, and there was just all kinds of stuff just going crazy with that. There just didn't make sense. It just kind of looked like every man for themselves when they're supposed to be DEO agents, supposed to be highly trained agents. They didn't look like army personnel. They just looked kind of terrible, and there's no sense of kind of training, or they have to have been trained for something like this. They've been fighting aliens for a while now, at least the past 40 years, right? So if not more, so there should be more plans in set up for this. I just don't know why they didn't have that. So we see Haley ends up finding out that Supergirl and Alex are sisters, and that was kind of interesting when they did that. I mean, before that, we had Alex kind of talking to all the people who knew Supergirl was Alex's sister and stuff, and then later on, one of the people who we saw was part of that group of people who knew that Kara is Supergirl and stuff. When Alex said that we're only using stun guns on these aliens, they're like, no, Haley said to use this. So that one person who trusts Alex enough to lie about what he knows about Supergirl and not reveal his her identity, then kind of completely disregards, Alex saying that no, we're going to use these real guns because Haley said so. Like, it just didn't make sense there at that point. It's like, if that person, if he trusted her, he should have gone as soon as Haley gave that order. We have to use guns. He should have gone up to Alex and say, hey, she just told us to use lethal force and not our stun guns, and be like, I'm just letting you know, right? So that he's like, yes, he still has to use the real guns because when he fires it, he can't be. Haley's gonna see that what he's firing, right? Whether or not he uses a real gun or not, or live ammunition, but it just would have been something cool to see that. It just kind of broke the character, even though there's a very small character. It just didn't make sense that he's willing to lie to her, but not willing to go against her orders, or not willing to at least give Alex kind of the heads up of that order from Haley, to use live ammunition. So I think that was kind of interesting with that. And then it was really cool seeing John kind of come in and kind of wipe Haley's mind of Supergirl and stuff. But then she keeps going. She brings in this kind of alien that kind of, can get the truth of the people no matter what. And, so John has to wipe everyone's mind at the DEO. Everyone who knows Alex, who knows Supergirl and Alex are sisters and stuff, has to wipe all their knowledge of Supergirl and stuff. And I think that was kind of interesting, playing with that. And at the end, the big reveals that she has to wipe Alex's mind. I think that was just like, of course, like, I mean, how much does it's unclear, right, with all this, how much does the DEO know about John Jones? Do they know his power set exactly? Do they know he can read minds, wipe minds? Does he know anything about that? I think that was kind of interesting, especially when back in the first season, when he was being interrogated, when it was revealed that he was, Martian Manhunter and Martian and stuff. I think that was kind of an interesting kind of take on that. And then here, they just, Haley doesn't. If it is known by the DEO that about Martian Manhunter's powers, and he obviously knows about Alex and Hank Shaw's relationship. It must be in the DEO files, right? So how could she not predict that someone, if she knows that he has this mind control powers, how could she not predict something like that and not, prepare herself for something like that? I think that was kind of interesting with that. Does she have any, recourse with that? And I think that would kind of be an interesting thing that, I don't know why she didn't have a way to kind of prepare herself or know about this or something, or maybe no one knows about this. I think it would be something clear, nice to get something out and just find out, how much does people know about John Jones' powers and stuff. So I think that's really going to be interesting to see as to where things kind of go with this. And looking into the next episode, it looks like the next episode is titled Blood Memory. And that's an interesting idea. And then the trailer kind of shows like Alex kind of her memory being messed up, and I don't know how I feel about that for the next episode. I mean, it's going to be an interesting idea, but I don't think I would have it the next episode. I'd actually would save it for later on down the line, which I really hope that this whole storyline with Alex not knowing who's the Supergirl, that Kara is Supergirl and everything. Hopefully they play with that for a while, because we haven't. It seems like nowadays with all these superhero shows, these movies and all that stuff, there are no secret identities. The only people who have secret identities, and then they're not public, like Arrow and Flash, everyone on their show pretty much knows that they're who they are. There's no secret identity on either of those shows. Even on Black Lightning, which is a brand new show, like in season 2, and everyone pretty much knows he's Black Lightning, so there's just really no more secret identity. Even in the MCU, like Spider-Man's one of the only ones, naming him, his Aunt May knows that he's Spider-Man, so there's really no very little secret identities out there. There's even no secret identities. There might be one coming up in Endgame with Ronan and stuff, but there's just no secret identity. So I think it would be cool to go back to this, and I miss the Smallville days when it was entirely based around secret identities, kind of. It wasn't really a secret identity, obviously, because he had no costume and everything, but keeping the secret and stuff, I think that was a kind of interesting idea, and I think that's going to be something cool to kind of play with, and hopefully this kind of like don't tell Alex that she's who Supergirl is and all that stuff until season 6. We're in season 4 right now. I want to finish season 4 without her knowing, and then go through season 5, and then mid-season, Christmas break, holiday break, mid-season for season 6, then reveal to Alex that she's Supergirl and get that moment all over again. But I really want to let this thing burn out and let this thing play out. I think that's really going to be cool to see as to where things go. And as far as the kind of memory, her kind of feeling like pieces are missing inside of her, inside of her mind, we've seen John do this multiple times by now. I'm sure we've seen him at this point at least 10 times. He's had to wipe people's memory, if not, groups of people's memory. Now, I guess it's obviously never been a main character like this, but it would be, it just seems out of place all of a sudden. There are the side effects we've never seen before for John when he wipes someone's mind. We've never seen them having side effects of kind of feeling like pieces are missing or anything like that. So I think that's going to be interesting to see as to where things go with that. How does John deal with that? Is that going to, is Alex going to be the only one to have these problems? Because, there are it looked like there were at least 5 or 6 guys, other than Alex, who were mind wiped at the DEO. So, and then you also have Brainy, so I guess he's going to keep remembering somewhat since he can turn himself off. And I think that'll be kind of interesting to see as to where things go with that. Is will this alien be able to affect him? I doubt it. I mean, if he's able to turn himself off or delete it, maybe he could just delete it himself, right? He doesn't need John Jones to read his mind. Or can John Jones read his mind? I mean, Brainiac can read other people's minds. He was able to jump into Supergirl's mind in like his first episode when she was in the coma back in last season and stuff. But I think that would be kind of cool to play with that in this kind of episode, to see if Alex has problems with their memory, other people should have problems with their memory too, and it would be kind of cool to see as to where things kind of go without Alex knowing that Supergirl, and the idea of maybe the 5 or 6 of them come together and start, and they all start talking like, oh, I'm missing memory of this, and then start putting pieces together and all that stuff. I think that could be something cool to kind of do this, but then Supergirl has to kind of, change their thoughts, and, maybe Brainiac has to come in and kind of, derail that, them grouping together, trying to figure out what happened to them, right? I think that could be something cool to deal with that, but I don't want to do this storyline the next episode after them doing that. I think it'd be cool to just play in this a little bit of Alex not knowing that Kara is Supergirl, and just let that be the set norm for a little while, and then play with that, then have her memory kind of start to fade and start feeling like she's missing pieces later on. I think it's going to be cool to see we need to get Eliza Danvers back now to see as to what that relationship is going to be. What is her opinion on this whole situation now, and how would she be finding out that all about this. I think would be kind of really interesting, really interesting shock, and I think that could be really cool to deal with that, and making sure that, you know, Alex doesn't just call up Eliza Danvers and she doesn't accidentally slip and say, oh, Supergirl Alex and your sister Supergirl, right? They need to make sure things like that don't happen. Forget the last time we saw Dean Cain. I think it was a while ago last time we saw Dean Cain, so not sure if he's around, you know, if Alex can end up calling him up just to talk to him or something. I don't know. I think it could be kind of cool to see as to where things go with this, but they definitely need to bring Eliza Danvers back, because, like I said, they could just be texting, they could be doing anything. You know, they need to make sure Eliza Danvers doesn't slip up and text, you know, and just tell Alex that Supergirl is Kara, right? They also need to make sure, you know, Jimmy Olsen doesn't say anything. Supergirl and I guess Kara and Supergirl and I guess Lois Lane need to make sure none of them slip up, but they're obviously off planet on Argo, so they need to make sure anything like that doesn't happen. And then, you know, I'm not sure if there's anything with like Supergirl's birth mother there on Argo City, if she's able to contact either of them, you know, make sure she's able to contact Supergirl, and not obviously, I don't know if she has a way to FaceTiming Alex, but to make sure that doesn't happen. But I think it's going to be cool to see as to, you know, the people who do know, making sure they don't tell Alex or anything like that. And at one point, does it ever come to the point where, you know, does Jimmy Olsen have to get mind wiped eventually? I think that could be really cool. And then playing with this thing could be a really cool storyline as we move forward. So although I'm really excited to see as to where this storyline goes, but hopefully, you know, like I said, I really want to stay in this idea of, you know, a secret identity again, and keeping Alex not knowing for a long time. And I think that could be really cool to deal with that and play with that as time goes on. So I think it's going to be cool to see as to where things go with all of this, you know. And even after they're done with Haley, you know, maybe they're done with her storyline, you know, Supergirl being like, I'm just not going to tell her because it keeps her safe, her not knowing, right? I think that could be an interesting idea. And then you go into season 5 with the idea of, you know, she could tell her, but it's just safer to keep her to not tell her, you know. And I think it could be a really interesting idea. And then whenever she does find out, you have to play with that whole riff of, you could have told me a long time ago and you didn't tell me, you know. I think that could be a really cool storyline to play with. So definitely can't wait to see as to where things go with this storyline. So let me know what you think, guys, about this in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes
subscribing
is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.